I think, being in the spotlight really at UH, right? Because I would argue that even though Hawaii doesn't have a professional team, volleyball is different here than other places in the US.
Yes.
Meaning that volleyball is probably, in the fall especially, it's just up there with football. I mean, I think you have just as strong of a fan base for volleyball as we do for football, even in the prime of when the teams are the best.
Right.
So you getting to experience some of that, the limelight, media attention from the community, right? When you're going out, that's what all the UH athletes experience. That probably has helped and prepared you professionally.
Right.
Because now you're kind of in a similar way, but on a bigger scale.
Right.
More eyes are on you, right? So talk about that a little bit. After you graduated from UH, taking nothing away from your career, we could have other follow-up episodes about everything you've done at UH, but after you graduated, first let's talk about how did that opportunity present itself to play in Japan, and what made you choose where you wanted to play and what leagues offered you, I guess, opportunities.
Right. Mm-hmm. So honestly, everything came down to if I could graduate on time.
Okay.
Because my original major, kinesiology, you can't really finish in 4. Especially as an athlete, there's no chance because you're missing classes due to practice or travel. Mm-hmm. So I had to get out of that via a loophole, right? Okay. Interdisciplinary studies, you can do that, and I can still carry a lot of kines classes, graduate with that. So that was my main thing. I wanted to graduate on time because I pretty much realized I wasn't going to come back to finish school because I was so focused on playing. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be that player that could play volleyball forever kind of opportunity. But if God forbid I got hurt, I had a fallback, I had a degree, so that was my game plan. And then I was going to wait till I graduated, then figure out where I was going to go. But I was already being summoned to go play in Korea in January, which is the spring semester. Going into me graduating. So technically I could have been gone already from January if I wanted to, but I wouldn't be able to graduate. So that was kind of tight on decision making. And I didn't know how to become a professional player like that. So I shut that down. And then out of nowhere, Dave comes up to me and said, hey, the team from Japan is looking for a player. You should go. And then I didn't think I was going to play in Asia because I heard a lot of different things that Asia wears you down body-wise as a professional player, so I was looking more towards being in Puerto Rico or Europe, actually. But then when the Japan offer came up, I said, why not, which kind of blew my whole college language courses because I took Spanish and I was like, I should have took Japanese, you know? But yeah, that's pretty much how I got to that opportunity to play in Japan.
Okay, so you went immediately right after you graduated?
No. So actually the season didn't start till October.
Okay, but that year that you graduated?
Yes.
Got it. So this is where talking with a lot of the former athletes or volleyball athletes that play professionally, I realized that even in the US, volleyball players don't really know how the international leagues work. And touch on that a little bit. So from my understanding, what I heard, from people,
right?
The Japan league, they have to have so many Japanese people on the court.
Yeah, you're the only foreigner.
One foreigner that can play in the lineup at a time?
No, the whole team, you're only allowed one foreigner.
Team.
That's for Japan.
Okay, I have so many questions, but we have to save some of this for next time. But let's talk about the first thing. Just because I've been to Japan, I will be completely honest, because I am Japanese and I look Japanese, when I go to Japan, people just assume that I speak the language and I don't speak any Japanese.
Right,
so they'll start to just speak fluent with you and I'm like, I don't understand anything, And then they realize, okay, there's a language barrier.
Yes.
So I fully understand what that's like. So talk about that in volleyball especially, right? How was that transition, especially with the language barrier, on the court?
Yeah, it was rough because they did provide me with a translator, which we're still friends till today. But she was a normal translator, so she wasn't a volleyball savvy lingo kind of person. So by the time she translated what needed to be said from the coach to me, the timeout was over. Yeah. So if I had something to say back,
you couldn't.
Yeah, I couldn't. So my first year was rough. But my teammates were so willing to teach me Japanese, they were like, oh, I want to teach you. This is what Nimai, Sanmai, that was the greatest accomplishment that I could truly say is I connected with my team.
Yes.
My teammates, you know, especially my setter, because she's setting me the ball, especially my libero and my other outside hitter, you know, because some, even though, yes, just like the rest of the world, they actually take other languages. In Japan, it's just like us, where we take a language, but we're not graduating to be fluent.
Yes.
So exactly. A lot of my teammates was still Japanese only, with like a few hi, hello, you know. So it was by the time I got to my third year in Japan, we created this like broken English and broken Japanese lingo to survive. Yeah.
Yes. So how did you actually pick up enough Japanese to conversate, like even outside the volleyball court?
I would say my third year, enough. You know, but the second year was more of, I know what they're talking about. Yes. You know, I just was too scared to say anything, because I never ever want to embarrass myself that I pronounced something wrong. But thankfully, all of my teammates were saying that they appreciated that of the culture that I came from, because they understood my pronunciations. Because the foreigner before me had a thick Western accent. So when she tried to speak Japanese, they barely understood. So they appreciated when I was trying.
And that's probably the biggest positive about going from Hawaii to Japan, is there is a lot of similar exposure that we have down here, even with pronunciation, although you can tell that we're not fluent, but you know, you can at least figure it out, or phonetically like sound it out how it should be said, right? Now, thinking about the Japan experience, how was the volleyball transition for you?
Easy. Yeah. So volleyball, like any other sport, the universal language of what the sport is was perfect, you know. So I mean, talk about like a lot of arm, you know, with my coach. You know, he knew I was talking about spiking, you know, and I would try to like say like Nimai for 2 blockers, you know, cross, you know, like, so I mean, a lot of it was, you know, a lot of body language to get by, you know, but then when you play, it's just automatic. Obviously, that's the hitter, that's the spiker, you know, the game plan, the game flow, you know, obviously that person was watching the whole game prior, because now they know how to stop me here, you know. So, I mean, what you see in college transitions to the professional world, you know, it's just now you're on your own.
That's true with everything, right? Just being able to get by because you have the same volleyball IQ, I guess, or similar, you know, concepts down.